Okay, it seems that the femininity expectations of culture today have been skewed. So I'm going to reach back to the book of Esther and find out what the king expected and what the processing was for King Hasuerus in regard to Esther becoming queen, because we all want to be queens, right? My name is Tanisa Montgomery. I'm a prophetic licensed mental health counselor, and I am talking today about femininity and the biblical standard, what the word of God says about femininity. Right? So we look back at the book of Esther and we talk about the beautification and the purification process. First and foremost, these women were virgins. Let's start there. They were virgins. And the reason that we even get to the story of Esther is because the king had a wife who had a bad attitude. Now, I don't know if I agree necessarily with his attitude toward her, but we're not here as women to judge his attitude toward her. We're here as women to learn what we can about the feminine standards and the elegance and the ability to hear and receive wisdom so that we can grow as the women of God that we're called to be. So if we look at the book of Esther, I'm in Esther chapter 2, and we start with verse 12, where it talks about the purification process of the women. It says that before they could go into King Hasuerus, they had to have a 12-month process. Okay, ladies, well, I'm saying, like, if we're starting from scratch and you have never done anything with femininity standards, there is a process. And I think that there are some things out here that are really good that talk about like how we can draw our inner self-esteem, our inner self-worth, our inner development so that we are feeling feminine internally. And maybe that is a year-long process. I can't decide that for you. But what I know for myself is that there have been times where I've tried to have spurts of feeling more elegant and more classy. And then I will fall off for a while because it's an exhaustive process. As a licensed mental health counselor, I can tell you that when we are trying something new, it does take a while before we are consistently committed to doing that thing. So usually we say 21 days of doing something makes something stick. I'm not actually sure that that's the legitimate number, because I can personally say that I've done something for 21 days and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm tired. It's day 22. I'm tired. I have been consistent for 21 days. I'm tired. So then I fall off, and before I know it, I'm no longer meeting those standards of expectation that I've put into place. So we're starting in like I said, Esther chapter 2, verse 12, where each young lady comes to the king. Before they come to the king, they have a 12-month process where they do 6 months of oil and myrrh, and then 6 months of perfuming and preparation for beautifying the women. Wow, that's the thing. What are our beautification processes that we are setting up for ourselves? Now, I think this is the inner healing work. This is the work in today's society where we need to look at ourselves, examine the hurt and the baggage that we're carrying, set that baggage down, and find a way to make peace with all of the broken parts of us, whatever past hurts, whatever past traumas, whatever frustrations from previous relationships, anxieties, fears, doubts, all of these things. I'm talking about even getting your inner circle together. You might have some friendships, some relationships that you need to prune and clip away now, so that when you bring your man in, then you're not wondering, okay, why is she checking on my man? Or why is she always negative? Or why isn't she happy for me? Right? So we have to come to a place where, as women, we are getting in circles where we're picking one another up. And then we have this other part where it's that inner healing work of, okay, what are my standards? What are my expectations? As a woman, how am my cleanliness standards for myself? What are my makeup habits? Am I overdoing it with the makeup? Am I actually putting on a mask when I go outside and I'm no longer presenting myself as what I actually look like? Do I need to scale back the makeup? Do I need to scale back the lashes? Do I need to scale back my attitude? Do I need to figure out a way how to communicate more genuinely? Do I need to soften myself. And that could mean a plethora of things. As we show up feminine in a space, we should be bringing out the masculine character of a man, whoever is present. Even in the midst of male friends that I have, male friends that you have, we should be inciting a masculine character to come out of them. Now, I'm not talking about this masculine toxic masculinity or whatever the folks are calling it these days. I'm talking about the genuine masculinity to match the feminine energy that we show up with in that area. Okay, so now we've gone through the perfuming process, and we're saying, we're talking about learning how to layer different scents and how to increase our own intellect about what etiquette is at dinner, or how do we lay a napkin on our lap, or we're just elevating our level of class. We learn how to hold a knife and a fork appropriately. We learn what a man should do, how he should treat us, and we set that expectation. Now, I'm not talking about arguing with a man if he doesn't do this on the first date or if he doesn't do that on the first date. I'm actually talking about just sitting back and observing and seeing how things play out. Now, if you are not interested, or you don't think that you can see yourself in a long-term relationship with someone after a date, you don't have to go down a checklist of all the things that they did to fail on that date. That is not your role. Your role is to stay in your feminine mood and mode. And that only happens with practice. And so we practice being that with friends, with family members. We practice being feminine in our own time. How are you sleeping? What are you wearing to bed? Are you taking care of your skin? Are you taking care of your hair? Are you taking care of your hygiene? Are you learning to eat better and to sleep better? What are the things that you're doing to take care of yourself so that you actually feel more feminine? Are you wearing heels? Are you wearing slides all the time? Are you wearing clothes that make you feel more sexually attracted to yourself? And so those are kind of some of the things that I feel like, while I might have a t-shirt on, you don't know how I feel because of that underneath what I've done in myself to increase and encourage self-love, self-appreciation, self-worth, self-value. And those are the purification and beautifying processes that I believe are part of what happens in that year before you're prepared to be a wife. Because when we come into a space with a man, we want to be positioned as a wife. We don't want to be a girlfriend, overextending ourselves, offering things that we can't get back. We don't want to give parts of ourselves away that we can't give back. And now that's moving closer into a purity standard. But I want to be clear and say what Esther goes on to say is that as each person is prepared, the chief eunuch would allow, now I'm in verse 13, the chief eunuch would allow them, well, the household would allow them, but the chief eunuch would assist them in going in and choosing whatever things that the women wanted from the house before they went into the king. And so we have to think about that. Were those women going in and saying, I'll probably never see this many gold rings again in my life. I'm going to take 12 rings and I only got 10 fingers. I'm going to wear the heaviest jewelry because I can probably smelt this down for a later time and use it at another time for something else in life. If this doesn't work out the way I want it to work out, if I'm not the one that he chooses for queen, then I'm leaving here with something, right? So Esther had won favor in the sight of the chief eunuch. And so the chief eunuch told Esther, listen, pare it down. Don't go in there with everything that you can grab, because it looks desperate, it looks thirsty, and it doesn't exude class and elegance. Because see, the king is a man of particular tastes, and he will see class and he will see elegance a mile away. And if you go in there weighed down with all of the sarongs that you can wrap around your waist and all of the jewelry that you can carry, Esther had won, then he's going to dismiss you. But not only did he tell that to Esther, he told this to every single woman. Esther just so happened, as it talks about in verse 15, she just so happened to listen and take the wisdom of the word of the chief eunuch before she went into the king. And as we all know, the story plays out. She ends up winning the favor of the king, and the king loves her so much so that new doors and new opportunities become open to Esther for Esther to save her entire race. Okay. So she is not just someone who is sitting idly by and letting the world pass her by while she is quietly obedient and dismissed by men around her. That is not what femininity is. She is saying, I am listening for wisdom. I accept and receive wisdom. I need guidance because I'm unfamiliar in this space. I'm not here to pretend like I know it all or that I can do it all or that I've been here before. I'm here to learn. I'm here to get wisdom. I'm here to get understanding. I'm here to get my man. Okay. So when she got the man, she won the heart of the king. She was able to do mighty things. Doors were opened before her. And so femininity is not about single handedly winning the man, it is about who you show up as, your character. It's about your purity of heart. It's about allowing yourself to be led so that you can be put in a position of leadership. And then you have now opened the door, not just for yourself, but other women who will come behind you. So femininity is attractive. And when we are as feminine women around masculine men, it heightens the experience for both of us. I have been in the presence of men who are simply friends. And because I show up as feminine, or I do my best, not maybe not always, not 100% of the time, we all fall short, however you want to see that. But as I show up as a feminine woman in a masculine space or around masculine energy, we kind of ping off of one another. I'm treated with a certain level of class. If I walk up to a friend of mine who is a man who is secure in his masculinity and he's sitting down, he's going to stand up. He's going to offer me his seat. He's going to ask me if I'm thirsty, if I'm hungry, if there's anything that he can do to serve me. Because as a feminine woman, the man is going to show up in that masculine energy. And if he doesn't, that's okay too. Our expectation isn't that everyone treats us the way that we show up in the room. It's just that we are marking the information and we're keeping track. Maybe this is someone who we continue to be acquaintances with because we are work acquaintances. Maybe this is someone that we decide we don't want to spend our time with. But it's not my job to constantly tell men how to be men. It's my job to be in myself and tell myself how I want to be, because I can't teach a man how to be a man, but I can teach myself to be patient, to be wise, to be a feminine woman in a space where I'm accepted and where I'm welcome and where I feel comfortable.